Welcome to the lecture on dihybrid crosses. 2 weeks ago we learned about monohybrid crosses. We were just looking at one trait at a time and determining the outcome of offspring of just one trait. Now today we're going to go into dihybrid crosses. Dihybrid crosses are when we're using a cross involving two traits. So we're going to see what's the likelihood of someone inheriting two traits. Now we know that the genes are located on separate chromosomes, and so the traits are going to be unrelated when it comes to being inherited, because we know that they separate during meiosis, they're independently assorted, and that they are not related to one another. And so now we have to do a cross that ends up being 3 times larger than our original cross to be able to see how these traits will be inherited together. So we're going to look at one example here. It asks, what are the possible gametes for the parents of the genotypes TTWW and TTWW? So the first thing we're going to have to do is write the parents' genotypes down, and then we're going to have to find the possible gametes. And the reason we have to do this extra step is because we know that this T and this T are going to separate into 2 different sex cells or gametes during meiosis, right? If it's a female, you end up with one in one egg and one in another. Same with the WW, you end up with one in one egg and one in the other. And then with this one, you end up with 2 different T's in each sperm and different W's in each sperm. And so now we have to figure out what their gametes are going to be in combination between T's and W's. And so I like to look at each of these genotypes, and I think of each trait as an article of clothing. So the T's I would associate with tops, and W's I'd associate with bottoms. So you're always going to want to have a top on and a bottom on, otherwise you'd be naked, right? And so you want to be fully clothed. And so we're going to see how many combinations of clothing we can create out of this genotype by choosing a top and a bottom, okay? So the first one you can see here, you see a capital T, lowercase t, capital W, lowercase w. So the first top and bottom that I can create is a capital T and a capital W, right? We have a big top and a big bottom. And so I'd end up writing down TW. Now I could also create another outfit with a capital T and a lowercase w. So that would be my next one. I can create another outfit with a lowercase t and a capital W. And then the last outfit I can create is a lowercase t and a lowercase w. So you can create a total of 4 different outfits with these 4 different gametes. Now, looking at how many outfits we can create with this set of genotype. Now I know I can create a small t top with a big W bottom. I can create another small t top with a big W bottom, a small t top with a little w, and then a small t top with a little w again. Now if you notice, you ended up repeating here and here. And so I always like to think of these as articles of clothing in the sense that I don't want to wear the same thing twice. And so I'm going to actually cross out these 2, and I'm only going to use these 2 for my cross, because otherwise I'm going to end up with the same results with what would have been here and here. And I just think that's too much work. And so I just like to think of the ones that are different. What different pairs of clothing can I make? So let's try it again with this guy. We have this genotype here, big G, little g, big H, little h. So what outfits can we create? We can create a big top with a big bottom, right? Big G, big H. I can have a big G, little h. I can have a little g, big H, and a little g, little h. So those are the 4 different outfits that I can create off of that one genotype. Then you're going to take the gametes for the parents, so those 4 letters, right? And you're going to place them in a Punnett square of the cross. And you're going to put each set, so these 2 would end up in this mark of this spot. And then another 2 would be here, another 2. And this would be one parent on top and one parent on the side. So now let's go back to our practice, right? We already looked at these possible genotypes here. You should have them written down already for example. We already looked and figured out the gametes here. Okay, so make sure you have those written down for the possible gametes. And now we're going to practice it in a cross. So we have the same parents here. Now, one parent is going to be placed on the top of this dihybrid cross. And so you're going to end up with those outfits again, right? So our first outfit was this. This was our second outfit. This was our third. And this was our fourth from back before. Then for this parent, let's look at our outfits again. We ended up with this outfit and this outfit. And we ended up repeating those outfits, right? And we realized, hey, I don't need to repeat because these two rows are going to be identically the same as these two rows. And so I'm just going to cross that out, and I'm only going to focus on the top two rows of this cross. Now, just like in our monohybrid crosses, we're going to end up dropping down and then dropping left to right for each of these. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this TW down, drop this TW down, drop this one down, and drop this one down. And now I'm going to drop left to right. So I need to drop this TW from left to right, all the way across. And then this TW from left to right, all the way across. Now I always like to keep my T's together and then my W's together so that when I'm going back and analyzing the data here, I'm able to tell the exact genotype and phenotype with them next to each other. If you ended up going TW, TW, you'd end up slightly confused because you need to see them next to each other. So always leave a space when you're dropping so that you can keep your T's and your W's next to one another. Now let's take a look and figure out what the genotypic and phenotypic ratio would be for these. So first, I'm going to do the genotypic ratio. You're going to look through each of these boxes and you're going to write down every single different genotype that you see, which are the letter combinations. And so you should see all of these letter combinations: capital T, lowercase t, capital W, capital W, capital T, lowercase t, capital W, lowercase w, big T, lower w, lower w, little t, big W, little t, big W, little w, and then all little here. That's all the different types you see here. And then for the ratio, we're going to count how many in each box, right? So we're going to find only one of these. So you're only going to see one of the big T, little t, big W, big W. Then for this, we have two of these. So we have two of those. Found one of these. So we have a one there. Just one of these. Two of these. And then one of this one. So then our ratio would be a 1 to 2 to 1 to 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. So these are a lot longer than the monohybrids. So you're going to have to make sure to write all the variations that you see and then count the boxes of what you see for each. Then for the phenotypic ratio, you're going to see what you have also. So you can see here, I like to use the genotypic if I've already found it so I don't have to go back up to my square. So I see that I have a tall-stemmed organism here with white petals. And this is also a tall-stem organism with white petals. I have a tall-stemmed organism with purple petals, a short-stem white-petaled, and a short-stem purple-petaled. And so I have written all of those phenotypes down. And now I need to count how many I have, right? So I found that I had 3 of the tall-stem white petals. So I would put 3 next to that phenotype. I have 1 tall-stem purple petal, 3 short stem white petals, and 1 short stem purple petals. So that would be our phenotypic ratio, 3 to 1 to 3 to 1. Make sure you always put your labels. So first we're going to find the outfits that we can create with this genotype, right? So I can do a capital B, capital R for this parent. I can do a capital B, lowercase r. I can do a lowercase b, capital R, and a lowercase b, lowercase r. Now this parent is exactly the same as this, and so my outfits are going to be the same for that parent. Then I'm going to put one parent on top, so the outfits for that parent all on the top there. And then for parent 2, I'm going to put them all on the side. Now I want you to go ahead and practice really quick filling in this Punnett square to make sure that you're getting the correct results. So So go ahead and pause the video, finish the square, and then come back to see the results. So this should have been your results here of your Punnett square. Go ahead and take a moment and double check your work and make sure that your squares are exactly the same as mine. Let's do one more example together. So in rabbits, black coat is dominant over brown, and straight hair is dominant over curly. Cross a rabbit that is homozygous dominant for both traits with a rabbit that is homozygous dominant for black coat and heterozygous for straight hair. Then give the phenotypic ratio for the first generation of the offspring. So first we have to figure out what the parents are, right? So the first rabbit is homozygous dominant for both traits. So if it's homozygous dominant, it means that they're the same and that both of them are going to be dominant traits. And for both traits, so you're going to have a capital B, capital B, capital H, capital H. So that's going to be the genotype of our first parent. Then our second parent is a rabbit that's homozygous dominant for black coat. And so you'd go ahead and put homozygous dominant, which would be 2 capital B's. And then you'd have a heterozygous for straight hair for this parent. So hetero means different, right? Anytime you see heterozygous, you're automatically going to know it's going to be a big and a little, and that it's coding for hair, so it's the H's. Now we're going to have to figure out the phenotypic ratio in just a second. So next we're going to have to figure out the outfits, right? We have our parents, so now let's figure out what outfits we can create. Now the only outfits I can create from this parent is a capital B, capital H. So no matter how many times I put on different clothes, that's the only clothes I'm going to have. For this parent, I can have a capital B, capital H. I can also have a capital B, lowercase h. And that's all the types of outfits that I can create with this parent. So now that I have my little gametes here, I'm going to place one on the side, one parent. So this would be this parent is on the side, and then this parent is on the top. Go ahead and fill out those boxes. And that's going to be the chance of the offspring being one or the other. And you should also find the phenotype is that it's going to be 100% black and straight. Because for both of these are black and both of these are going to show straight. Okay? So from here you're going to practice some dihybrids. I highly recommend that you rewatch this video if you need to. You watch the Amoeba Sisters video and you continue to practice and double check your work with these dihybrids. There's a lot of places you can make mistakes, and you're going to have to know how to do these for your exam, for the final, and for the star. So please, please, please make sure that you're doing them right, you double check your work, and that you're making sure to actually practice.